So what makes this particular group of fish special to you?
Yeah, for me, as I said, at first it was this rarity, so no one was able to obtain them. And breeding, of course, it was a challenge. And it was also a challenge for me in the start to maintain the good tank for them, like having different possibilities. We discussed it already, have a pair to breed or a group, and maybe a bigger tank or a smaller tank. There was lots of different possibilities that no one really knew. I mean, there's different breeders, they have their own opinions, and they were from the start different styles. There were some guys from the Netherlands. They had large tanks with lots of plants and lots of fish in there, and they would breed like a colony breeding. And then on the other side, we had someone like Peter, for example. He would only have 12-liter tanks with just one pair inside. And yeah, so there's lot of variety in there and lots of unknown things. And yeah, it's kind of part. Maybe it triggers my scientific gene to experiment a little to find the best solutions for this.
Cool. What makes them different to other gouramis? Or even what makes them special compared to other gouramis, possibly?
Yeah, I mean, they are really specialized in this, not necessarily black water, but the peat swamp. So more or less acidic, more or less dark. But there's some other gouramis, like chocolate gouramis, that live more or less in the same habitats. They are a little larger. And also there's this really colorful display. The Parosphromenus have this behaviors really different from the chocolate gouramis, of course, but also from lots of other fish I know. I think it's really special to have this popping colors, a different or interesting behavior. So it's kind of unique, I think.
Cool. What's the significance? Is there significance between the vivid colors and how they develop? Are they different to catch point locations, or are they just, how does that evolve? How does that sort of change from one little species or group to another?
Yeah, there's a lot of evolution going on and still going on. I mean, the whole area, it should be, or it was connected once in a time. It was called Sunderland. So when the sea level was way lower, then there was a large stream system, so connecting basically Malaysia and Indonesia, everything. If it was a common ancestor that was spread over the whole area, I really doubt it. But there's different parts, or different species as well, like Parosphromenus paludicula, that's going up to Thailand. That is really basic. And then there's this highly different, like this head up species we discussed already. So there's a large range, and also within each stream there's a possibility of local variants. But we also see if there's different species, and then there's a gradient. So if it's just the colors, then you would find a lot of in between fish if you see, or probably if you look in the areas in between. Maybe some of them are already extinct and it's lost, but it's most likely there's irradiance all over this place. And also in Indonesia, there's lots of different islands. So it was probably the same species, then they were separated, and on different islands, there are some species that really look alike. And then there's some species you can say, okay, they have some differences, but probably it has the same origin. So you can really track down this kind of radiation somewhere.
That's incredibly fascinating. Cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. Does water chemistry affect the colouring in any sort? Like if they're, like you said, people keep them in 4 pH and some in 6. Does that change affect their behaviour, affect their coloration, affect their overall health?
Yeah, I mean, Probably most fish that are living in really harsh environments, they might be easier for them to live in a little less harsh environments if you provide the proper water hygiene. But for most Parosphromenus species, it's not really necessary to have this extreme water parameters. So like I said, if you really have this dark black water, you can't really see them. So if you are from a hobbyist point of view, you want to see your fish at least. So most of the time we will not have this really dark water. But on the other hand, if you have a look in this really dark water, then the color patterns will look a lot different. So you will not have this, I don't know, kind of reflection like colors. It's really more contrasting colors than it's in the dark or black water. So this, of course, it should have some impact on the behavior, but for the coloration, it's mostly the mood, so to say. If there's some the parameters are right, the fish are in good health, then they will show the color, obtain or maybe they try to defend the territory, and then they will be colorful, the males. And the females, they are most likely not colorful at all, so there's less to see there.
Yeah. Is there any unique behaviors that these fish exhibit that might surprise people a little bit?
Oh yeah, there's some kind of course there's this kind of dancing and flashing behavior, but also there's some phenomenon. It's called sexy eyes, because there's a black line across the eye if they are really in the right mood. So if they are really into a female, then you will see this sexy eyes in the males and the females as well. So the females that will have less color, maybe brownish or grayish with some lines on the body maybe, but that's it. But when they're really interested in the males, then they will also show this sexy eyes and this dark line across the eye, and it's really nice to see.
Cool. Is there anything particularly challenging about keeping them in the home aquarium?
Yeah, I mean, if you have the correct water and a live food supply, then it's, I wouldn't say easy, but then there's no major challenges, I guess. But these two parameters already are deterrent for lots of like mainstream hobbyists.
Yeah. Cool. We've had another question off the floor. What about tank mates? I've totally lost myself here. What about tank mates? Is that achievable, not achievable? What are some recommendations, suggestions to go with them?
Yeah, there's already suggested the boraras, and they are perfectly fine. There's different species that will work, and also other small, like Sundardanio or little, I don't know, cyprinids. There's lots of small cyprinids that are possible. It's also possible to have like the small red betta as tank mates if they are not too aggressive, but especially for having the young in a grow out tank, then the young of both of these species, they will work perfectly fine. And if this is the case, then it is actually possible, if you have a larger group and maybe some other species as well, it is possible to train them a little on frozen food, or in some really rare cases even pellet food. But yeah, mostly it will still stay with the live food. And for other tank mates, yeah, it depends on the water parameters. So it has to be like the same water parameters that the other species also prefer, and it has to be a really how do I say it, non-competitive species. Running for the food all the time, the Parosphromenus will have a hard time.